Yeah, well, alcohol is an extraordinarily pernicious drug. And if you're inclined towards it, you can be inclined towards it because you're sensitive to its anxiety-reducing properties, or you can be sensitive to it because it enhances social communication, or because it produces a psychomotor high like cocaine, or all of those at once. And if you're particularly predisposed to alcoholism, you can experience all three at once. I had a friend in Montreal, Frank Irvin, great old guy, looked like Ernest Hemingway. He had a monkey farm on St. Kitts, and him and his woman, Roberta, I can't remember Roberta's last name. She was quite a piece of work too, a real cool person. They had this monkey ranch on St. Kitts, and they used to go down there and study the effects of alcohol on green monkeys, which 5% of whom would drink to coma on first exposure. And they had videotapes of these damn monkeys drinking, and it looked like a frat party, but 5% of them on first exposure would drink to coma. And those were the monkeys that had a biological predisposition to alcoholism. And alcohol is a really bad drug. It's 50% of murders take place in an alcohol-fueled environment. Either the victim or the perpetrator or both is drunk. It's almost the sole cause of domestic abuse. It's almost the sole cause of so-called date rape. If you dig into criminal behavior deeply enough, well, hell, you don't have to dig much at all before you find alcohol. It's also the only drug we know that actually makes people more aggressive. And not merely because they don't know what they're doing. We did experiments at McGill showing that if you took drunk people and put them in a competitive environment where they could be aggressive and had them keep track of their aggression so they were actually conscious of it, they became more aggressive even rather than less. So yeah, alcohol's bad news, and it can turn perfectly good people into quite the impulsive and dim-witted monsters. So,
well, if you give people that massive boost of sugar and then suppress their inhibitions, that's going to happen. I was 21 years old in Prince George, and I had a night like that. And I mean, it wasn't terrible. I just woke up in the morning, praying at the porcelain altar. I was making that deal with God. If you just make me feel better, I'll stop this. I won't do it anymore. And then I didn't. I haven't had alcohol since.
Oh, really? Since you were 21? I quit drinking when I was 27. Northern Albertan culture was pretty damn hard drinking culture, like most northern places. And a number of my friends ended up alcoholic, and all the people that I was in high school with and in college with were extremely hard drinkers. And I drank quite a lot till I was 27. And then I found that I couldn't. Well, first of all, my life was taking a pretty professional turn. And second, I found that there was no bloody way I could write seriously and think seriously on an ongoing basis if I was hungover. So, and I got married and I was going to have kids, and I thought, enough of this. And so I had a bit of, I thought when I was 50 that I might be able to drink again socially. And I toyed with it for about a year and found out that I was probably just as stupid at 50 as I had been at like 25, and decided to dispense with that too, which was definitely, I've watched too, as I've gone around the world, I've met very, very many people in many, many social occasions. And because I don't drink anything at all now, if I go out and watch people drinking, it makes everybody stupid and fuzzy-minded. And, the problem is when you're drinking, you think you're cool, but, you have those same delusions that Homer Simpson's friend Barney had when he was drinking, that you're this kind of, elegant and sophisticated comedian, and it just makes everybody stupid.
I would argue that the real problem is that it does that.
Yeah, well, that's
the first drink does that. My dad tells this. I hope I get the family story right, but he's a kid of 17 or 18, and he's kind of struggling at that point with school. And he goes to a family function, and he's got that one uncle who's a real jerk. Yeah, and the uncle pins him down at the dining room table, and he says to him, he goes, "So, Baz, are your grades a function of your inability to commit to work, or are you just stupid?" And it was such a nasty question. And my dad immediately, he blushed. And, people who blush know that they're blushing. Mm-hmm. And then that causes more blushing, which of course causes the eye watering. And it was a devastating moment for him. And then about 2 weeks later, he and his dad are sitting, and his dad unfortunately was an alcoholic and, didn't live very long as a consequence, but they're sitting on the deck having a little bit of a beer. And then he goes in and the uncle does the same thing. "So have we solved the great mystery? Are you stupid or lazy?" And my dad did not blush. And my dad said, "I I would entertain your question if I thought there was any sincerity in all of it, because I recognize that it's just through your own smallness that you're attempting to hurt me. I'm going to let it go. And then at that point, my dad was like, it's socially irresponsible not to go out without at least a beer.
Right. Yeah. Well, it definitely is a confidence enhancing substance, especially
but it's an illusion.
If you're sensitive to that. Damn right, it's an illusion. Yeah.